God, angels, universe, as I sit in the inner dialogue space today, I want to set some intentions. I want to ask that you help me say all that I am meant to say today, and that I say it with grace and with truth and what I want for the future. Thank you for the love, guidance, and all of the signs that you send me all the time. I love that my angels and my spirits are always with me and constantly sending me signs and symbols. And thank you. Hey, it's me, ABSD. I love you. Thanks for going through that with me. I loved that. That was amazing. Before I sat in this space, I went to YouTube and I typed in perfect breath, and I did some perfect breaths. I did some perfect breaths, and it is a cycle of breath that is 5.5 seconds. And the video that I use, you follow the ring as it goes in and out, and you inhale and exhale with the ring. And I will link that video below if you want to try it out. I like it a lot. And I just discovered it yesterday from Haley Hoffman Smith on Instagram. She is an awesome teacher, and I love learning from her. And she used the term perfect breath, and I had not heard of it before. And I tried it out, and that was now my second time using it, and I really enjoyed it. So I will continue to integrate that and see how I like it. The perfect breath. I had this realization as I was doing the perfect breath that God, angels, in the universe have been giving me things to look into, and sometimes I don't look into them. I have a list that I put things on, and it has grown quite a bit. Today, though, I went to a meeting. Meeting is not the right word. It was coffee with counsel is what it was called. And it was an opportunity to sit with two people who sit on city council and have coffee with them and ask questions and hear answers and voice concern. And there was about 25 people there, and I was the youngest person in the room. And multiple people said to Nick and I, they said, it's nice to see some young people here. I got to shake the mayor's hand. She is up for re-election, and was cool to get to see how her energy and how she carries herself and how she shows up in space for the community that she is the mayor of. And I also got to meet one of the zone representatives. I need to confirm her title. But it was cool to meet them both and to hear them speak, and to also learn about what the community is concerned about. A lot of buzzwords were thrown out, and inflation, affordable housing, so many more that are escaping my brain right now. It was very eye-opening and also interest the shit out of me. People have been asking me, it's one of the many questions that people ask when I tell them that I'm running to be president in 2032, if I will get involved in local government beforehand. And up until today, my answer was always, I'm not closed off to it, but as of right now, that's not what I'm being told is the answer. And many people have pushed back on that and told me that local government is the answer and that I should look into local government. Before this moment, there was never a local government that I was interested in looking into, quite honestly. My local government fuck me up. Yeah. I went to that coffee with the council today, and every moment of it interested the shit out of me in a way that I have not been sparked maybe ever. What the hell? Okay, but like this makes a lot of sense, right? If for the last 2 years I've been saying I'm going to run to be president, and now I finally attend something that is like government esque, and it sparks a flame in me. Yeah, I guess that tracks. What? Oh, I was sitting on the couch with Nick, and I have had a very aligned day. Today has been a very aligned day and has felt very good. And I've been in the flow of life and just in the flow of whatever is handed to me. And I'm grateful and open to all of it. And it's been awesome. The other day, I was doing research because I came back from Minnesota knowing that it was time for me to fucking jump into gear, to take action, to learn, to find what interests me, to grow, to understand what the next step is for ABSD and take action. ABSD, a better standard direction. I am figuring it out. This is figuring it out in real time. It is not developed yet in my head. And so trying to tell it to people of like what the answer is has always been hard. But things are clicking for me now. And I am still learning of what that looks like, what that means, and what I am ready to share yet. Because all of it's going to be shared. The whole process of all of it is going to be shared. But some things I feel like they need to come into reality before I share them with the collective. Because they haven't happened yet. And sharing something that hasn't happened yet, hadn't thought about that before. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of just dreaming of things that I want the future to bring, because that's how you bring cool things into the future. You dream them up, and the universe is like, nah, it's going to be even greater than that. But like, that's the greatest and your possible wildest imagine, and the beauty that you see and want for the future. Yeah, it's going to be even better than that. And every time you talk about it, you understand it more, and you are able to vocalize it better and stronger and more grounded. And it is important to talk about and important to let people in on. And you are doing awesome. You are doing awesome. You are doing awesome. Ah! I love this life. I love this life. This great blue life is flying by. I love this life. Oh, it is awesome. I am grateful for all of it. I am grateful. I am grateful. I am grateful. So we went to Coffee with Council, and at the very end, I was the last person to speak before they closed it. And we had just gone over the hour, and the mayor had asked one last question about Boulder is talking about, I think for now, I want you to cut out Boulder. Yeah, just cut this section out. Okay. She asked a question and wanted it was a boundary you just crossed. And yeah, you're not ready for people to know that. Yes, you're allowed to cut that out. You're allowed to regroup. You're human. And this part doesn't need to be in the podcast right now. And that's okay. One day people will know where you live. And maybe people already do. I've been very conscious to not say exactly where I live on the internet. I have been. Okay, just cut it out. I'm proud of you. This episode's fucking awesome so far. I'm excited. I love you. So at the very end of the meeting, the mayor asked a question that she wanted feedback on because a city nearby is wanting to put a new law into place for minimum wage. And it would be raising the minimum wage above what the state has it at. And the first person that spoke was against it and wanted their opinion to be known that they were against raising the minimum wage. And I raised my hand and I was the next person to speak, last person to speak during the whole thing. And I got to introduce myself and say I was new to town and get to speak on some of the other things that they had spoken about. And I was like, even 15, whatever change is still not a livable wage. Earning $15 at the minimum is not a livable wage. So, like, note that when you're making that decision from if our cities will go from the state minimum to a city minimum. I would love to hear more of why that person did not want the minimum to be raised. And if you have an opinion on that, I'm curious. I would love to learn more. And you can comment here on the podcast. Normally, where you're listening to it, there'll be like a comment box for sure on Spotify. I'm not really sure about the other places actually. Start a conversation with me on Instagram, the Alyssa Deloach. That goes with all topics that I bring up in the podcast. Okay. I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions. And I think the thing with it is that be nice and love me through this. I'm human. I'm learning just as all of us are. I had so much fun. And then afterwards, a lady came up to me and introduced herself and was giving me a suggestion of a place I should look into. I was like, awesome. I'm going to write that down. I would love to also pick your brain. Can I have your information? And she gave me her card. Awesome. I emailed her already today. And then I wanted to make sure I shook the hands of both people who are in office. And I was very intentional about that. And I had a conversation with a couple other people before that happened, which was awesome. I got to chat with many people in the community today and get to hear about their experiences and also talk about mine. Awesome. And then I got to shake the hands of both people who were there from the council. And as I was walking out, we are looking to rent tables and chairs for our Friendsgiving potluck housewarming party. And there were tables and chairs in this building, and it's just a city building. And so I asked if we would be able to rent the tables or the chairs. And the officer who was there at the meeting said, oh, I'm not sure, but here's the information. And then I got to chat with those other two people for a while that were there. And Nick and I were the last two people to leave, except for the people locking up. So it was a cool experience. It sparked joy in me in a really exciting way. And I came home after, okay, so let me start through my day. We went to that first thing this morning. Y'all, before that, let me rewind to last night. We're walking Lily and she pulls us all which ways, and then we end up walking around the block. Fine. As we're almost to the house, there's like an animal figure that is just very slowly walking on the sidewalk in front of us. And I asked Nick, I said, what is that? Because it wasn't obvious. Could have been raccoon size. And it was a dog. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go and see if I can get the dog. And it was an old dog, very slow moving dog. And it had a collar with some tags. The tags we went ahead and called one of the numbers while we were outside, and it was the Humane Society. And I'm like, okay, let's go inside and figure this out. I have picked up many dogs that I found on the road, and oftentimes they belong to somebody, especially if they have a collar on. And the tags were for the Humane Society and the non-emergency police department number, and neither of which was the owner. So we ended up keeping the dog overnight. I gave it a bath. I gave it some food. We brought it into our house. It slept on our floor. I put a blanket down on the floor and it slept on the blanket on the floor. And we kept the dog for 15 hours. We had the dog. And Lily didn't stop for 15 hours. She did. But anytime we were calling the dog Teddy, its name was actually, fuck, I can never remember what it is. Carmelo, Kukaka. I don't know. It was not a name that I was expecting for this dog. But we were calling the dog Teddy. And so the Humane Society didn't open till 11. So after the council meeting, we then went to breakfast at this Creole restaurant, and it was delicious. And we had beignets, and my meal was creamed spinach with grits and shrimp. And I got a biscuit with it too, and 2 poached eggs with hollandaise sauce. Oh my God, y'all, this is so good. And Nick got his famous country fried steak. He gets that everywhere we go for breakfast. Is it country fried chicken or country fried steak? Steak? Probably. I know there are both, but I can't remember which one he specifically orders. LOL. But I always have to have like 1 or maybe 2 bites of it because every single one I've tried I like, but he has a favorite, and we go back to that restaurant. We've gone back to that restaurant twice now, which means we like it. We're trying our way around town. Our favorite meal to go out to together is breakfast. So normally at least one day on the weekend, we go out to breakfast together, and it's wonderful. And our ticket price for breakfast was $44.44. And oh my gosh, it's $4.44 right now. Fuck off. Hey, thanks. Thank you. Oh my gosh, I love this life. That's unbelievable. Actually, it's very believable. Oh, my spirits and angels are fucking awesome. I'm grateful. So our ticket price at breakfast was $44.44, and I noticed it when looking at the bill, and then we took it to the waitress, and she said, "I've never seen that before." And I said, "I pay attention to numbers, and I've been seeing 4s a lot." Oh, I love it. And after that, we came home and picked up the dog and took Teddy to the Humane Society and found out he does have an owner, and he has been there before, and they've registered him. And so the owner will just have to come and pick him up. They'll call the owner and he'll come and pick him up. And he was 15 years old and just an old little dude. And just thank goodness, because he gave 0 shits about Lily. Like, didn't even notice that she was here. I'm pretty sure doesn't have much hearing. And so he also, his eyesight is going out, and you could see the fogginess on his eyes. And so would just like have to sniff everywhere and would just get everywhere. He was a cute puppy. I loved him a lot. His tag number, holy shit, it was 6 digits, and the first 4 was 2332. Let me tell y'all, these numbers are both very significant to me, and I love that they are versions of each other. 23 is the day I was born. 32 is the year I will be elected president. And I grabbed this dog, and the tag number starts with 2332. Thank you. It's just, I knew I was meant to help this dog. I always help the dogs that I find on the road, but I knew I was meant to help this dog. At first I was like, "Nick, we might be meant to keep this dog." And I'm like, "No, we can't keep this dog." Oh, it did have multiple accidents in our house while I was here. Multiple. I woke up and there was a huge turd next to the stairs. And I was able to just pick it up easily and there was no stain on the carpet. Love when those dog shits are like that. I was afraid he was going to have diarrhea, but he didn't, which was great. Oh, Teddy. And then after we took Teddy to the Humane Society, we came home and I had a call at 3 with I'm in a women's facilitator guidance program right now, and it's 6 weeks. And each week that through the program, through the training, you meet with another woman who's going through the training. And so we had scheduled to meet today, and I wanted to be in sober mind for that. And so Nick was like, oh, we had gone to the weed shop after we went to the Humane Society. Forgot that. And had an awesome time at the weed shop. Man, our weed tender was so awesome and so kind. And we got some new things to try, which is always fun. And then we came home and I just jumped into research about all of these places that people had told me about in my community. Every single person I talked to gave me a local resource that tied to what I was talking about or interested in. They were like, you should check this out. You should check this organization out. This is what this organization does for our community. And so I wrote them all down. And because I was staying in a sober mind and I didn't want to smoke until after I met with my other facilitator in the program, I researched for an hour and just went in on all of these organizations and made notes for myself and wrote information down so that I could refer back to it, because right in this current moment, it's not 100% clear to me the timing of which I am meant to approach each of these organizations, but I'm going to sit with it and ask questions and learn more and trust my intuition on it. But right now it's still so fresh and new. Like this was this afternoon, a couple hours ago. And after I did some research, I felt done. Like I had looked into all of them. I'm like, I'm not ready to deep dive on them, but I have all the information and it's easily accessible to me. So I have been reading a book called Atomic Habits. And one of the habits I am integrating into my life is I am a reader. And I have read every day for the last few days. And it's been fun to work on integrating this identity into my life and the habit that goes along with it. And I have finished 2 books and that feels so good. They have been awesome reads and I've enjoyed them a lot. And both of them one was a poem book and one was a book with a lot of art. And the poem book had art too. And they were both accessible and very easy reads for me. And I appreciated that because it felt like a low barrier of entry. And maybe those are just the books that I enjoy. And I'm excited to keep reading. I'm going to go to the library tomorrow and see if any of the books that are on my list are there and start reading some of those. Those recommendations that my angels and spirits have been giving me through people, I've written them all down and I'm ready to start diving into them because I all know they have different answers for me. And being someone who learns and continues to gain knowledge about things that I don't know and intrigue that I have is important to me. I am a student just as much as I am a teacher. Yes. So I have a outdoor blanket towel that I put down when I go and need something to sit on outside. And so I took that and I took my book and I took my water bottle and I walked 1 minute, less than a minute across the street to the park that lives across my house. And I sat up next to and under a tree that was beautiful and yellow and fall, and the sun was shining straight through it. And I sat and I read my book and I finished my poem book. And towards the end, the people who live across the street from us, who also were the ones that were throwing the neighborhood Halloween potluck this year, were letting their dogs out into the park to run around. And they were like, hey, the guy was like, "Hey, I'm about to let my dogs out. They're really nice, but is that okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I don't mind." And they came and said hello to me. And then they like were running around. And a few minutes later, the lady who lives there came out, and one of the dogs that they're watching for their parents didn't want to run around. And so then she ended up walking out, and I was getting up because I had finished my book, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we interrupted your reading." And I'm like, "Oh no, I finished my book." And I was also coming inside to do my call. And it was just great timing because then I got to introduce myself to them and learn them. And they almost bought this house that we live in. And that was a fun connection. And just to get to hear more about this house. And it was awesome. It was nice to meet them and put a face with the people who live across the street. I absolutely love that. From there, I got to come in and talk to the other, a lady in my facilitator program, and hear more about her and what she is, her soul's purpose is, and what she is doing in her life, and how all of those pieces come together, and to learn something from her and to teach her something, to be the student and the teacher, and to sit in space and not be afraid to open and be vulnerable and be. It was awesome. I learned so much from her, and just I loved being in her presence and her energy. It was really cool. And she is doing amazing work in the world, and I'm excited to learn more about it. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Then I went and sat with Nick and got on the local government train. And to cycle it back to why this episode is called Local Government, I said to Nick, I'm excited to get into this and learn more. And I already on my calendar, I had a city council meeting for next week on it. And I'm excited to go to those and feel what those feel like and see how they intrigue me. Growing up, I was part of sat on a board when I was in high school. I sat on the board for the community foundation in my city, in Sarasota County, and I experienced what board meetings were like. And I worked for a nonprofit, and I was part of organizations that, like the Community Youth Foundation, CYD, was a organization I got involved in early high school, that teaches you about all of the branches of government, that teaches you about local government, that takes you to meet commissioners and go to like school board meetings or city council meetings. Those were school board meetings. I don't know if they were city council meetings. And they took you to the local jail, and you got to learn about that. And you learned how to be a leader, and you learned all of these different pieces that make up fuck me. And then I was a person, you had the people who worked for the nonprofit Community Youth Foundation, who taught these programs and arranged the schedule and figured out all of those pieces and recruited kids to do it, like high school kids. And then you had high school volunteers that were the facilitators of the program, who had gone through the program themselves, and then they helped facilitate for the next group of students coming in. I did that multiple times. And for throughout high school. And it would be like I learned that curriculum over and over and over again because I would teach it, I would live it, and I would learn it like over and over again. I have so much knowledge about this that I forgot that I had. And being in that meeting today, it was like, oh, yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. It just felt so good. And I felt so present, and it felt so good. It felt so good. I'm so grateful for truly all of the experiences that I've had that have led me to be here, to be sitting in my new home in this new city, are not a coincidence. And all of the knowledge and organizations and groups and experiences that I have had to bring me here, to be the person that I am, to be sitting here understanding that all of it had its purpose and plan. And I am grateful for every single moment of it because it all brought me to be the person that I am here. I'm so grateful for this life. I'm so grateful for being me. I'm so grateful for ABSD. I am grateful for my connection with self and my connection with my soul and my connection with the divine, and how I get to be a vessel that brings in the future, that helps usher in the future in a beautiful and healing and light and love and aligned way for us to live a better life now and for our future people and world and universe to live a better future. The seeds are fucking planted, and they're planted. They might just be bamboo shoots. I used that analogy today when I was talking to in my facilitator call, and I constantly think of my life as a garden and me watering seeds and pulling the weeds, and that analogy branched, I believe, from Brandon. And since I have lived it, it has grown inside of me to look and feel in different ways. And I got to share that analogy with somebody today. And the concept of bamboo shoots and the way that they grow, that you plant those seeds and you don't see the growth of it. It grows underneath the surface for months and months. And then one day it shoots out of the ground and it is a full grown bamboo. And all of that time that you spent watering, all of that time that you took care and pulled the weeds around your plants and found and nurtured the earth and the soil that these plants are growing in and added nutrients. One day your garden is grown. But your garden, it's a lot of work and you have to tend to it. But you get to pick the things that you plant and you get to pick the beauty that exists inside of it. If I want sunflowers in my garden, I can grow sunflowers. If you want apple trees in your garden, you can grow apple trees. Hydrangeas, anything you want. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Maybe. Ooh. Okay, cut all that out, obviously. I love you. I love the garden analogy. I love planting my garden. I love planting my garden each and every day. And my days have just become more and more aligned with me because I understand I've made a turning point in my life. I've made a turning point in my journey. And the word that I've used for I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. The word that has come up for me a few times that I keep using is the last quarter of 2023 is going to be transformational for me. And it already has been. And I am fucking abundant as shit and so excited to see what the rest of this year brings. 2023 to 2032. Oh, wow. More ways those numbers are significant. I love you all so fucking much. And thank you for being on this journey with me, sharing space with me, and knowing that we are growing as we go. And I am learning as every step of the way and understanding more and more every step of the way and becoming more solidified in me and more aligned with me and understanding more that makes up ABSD, because we are all such dynamic human beings, because that's one of the beautiful things about being human, and learning more that exists that interests you, and opening yourself up to different things and places that you didn't know were imaginable, because you don't know what exists. We don't know what we don't know. If we don't know it exists, how the fuck do we know if it interests us or not? How the fuck do we know if it feels good in our body? We don't until we go and experience it. The things that you are meant to find, the things that you are meant to do will find you. They will find you. And they will manifest in your life in beautiful ways. And it is up to you to use your free will and decide if you follow that path. I am following the path. I am following my path, and my path is mine. It's unique and authentic to me. And your path is your path. It's yours. And it is unique and beautiful and authentic to you. And will our paths intersect at times? Will sometimes we look at each other's paths and say, oh, I'm really inspired by the way that they put that rock there and created a step. I think I'll go get a rock and put a rock in my path. Or maybe I'll use their rock and take a step on their rock and then create my own path from it. We're meant to work together, and we're meant to love one another and to live in our own light. And I fucking live in my light. And I love sharing my light, and I love shining my light, and I love allowing people to feel the warmth of my light. And it is started. ABSD is here. One of my October affirmations is, my name is ABSD. Learning how to integrate, changing your name and introducing yourself as something else besides what you have labeled as your name your whole life is wild. Is wild. But y'all, if you know me and you know me as Alyssa, you can call me Alyssa. But if I meet somebody that I've never met before, I am introducing myself as ABSD. Are they both my name? Yes. They are both my name, and they both have beauty and meaning to me deep in my soul. And I want people to know and associate me as ABSD with ABSD, a better standard direction. It's all intentional and meant to be the way it is. And so any stranger that I meet from here on out, I will introduce myself as ABSD. And I have been doing that. And I got to introduce myself to ample amount of people today as ABSD, and it was fucking awesome. I love you. Go out, be loud, take up space, love loudly, let your light shine, and know that you are safe. You are safe to be you. You are safe to love the things you love and be authentic and unique in all of the beautiful ways that make you you. And I am so fucking thrilled to learn and see all of the ways that make you you. I love you. Thanks for coming into the inner dialogue space with me today. Bye.